to Brightly, You Radiant Being, the show that wildly recognizes, encourages, and invests in the radiance we all carry so you can shine your brightest. This season, we're embarking on a transformative journey that honors the cycles of rest, renewal, and rebirth. As we explore the depths of the human experience, we'll dive into personal growth, recalibration, and regeneration. Through our shared experiences, friendship, and passions, we'll inspire thought provoking conversations and soul driven advice to help you step more brightly into yourself inch by inch.
Wait, I just want to say I also like thought poking. Maybe
Thought
thought
poking.
poking. Like, ooh, we're gonna poke you
We're going to
to make
poke
you
you.
think about this.
Well, how, how have we poked each other these past couple of weeks, Amy?
I don't know.
You don't know. Well, I was gonna say, so I saw yesterday, so today is the day we're recording is the day after Thanksgiving in 2024. And because of how the Thursdays shake out with where the Monday of a 30-day month started, Thanksgiving was the 333rd day of the year with 33 days left. I haven't double checked what I saw, but
Oh my
just
gosh.
kind of looking at the calendar. And so when
Yeah.
this actually goes live on Monday, December 2nd, we're going to be less than 30 days into the new year. And so this is the time of year when we're usually starting to talk about who do we want to be next year? And December doesn't matter. Let's reflect on the first 11 months. That is all that counts in terms of what we've achieved. It's time to start
Right. The
reflecting
best of. Just forget about December.
now.
Nothing
December's
good.
December's when we share the retrospective, and we don't
Yeah. Yeah.
actually have to work in December.
I love it. I feel like it's funny because I typically don't do my word of the year until, I mean, sometimes I do it around my birthday, and just spoiler alert, my birthday is always around the holiday of Thanksgiving, which, by the way, I just feel like I have to say this because I'm such a nerd. I don't celebrate Thanksgiving. We celebrate the day with family, with the kids and my husband, because we're celebrating my birthday. So my husband calls it Happy Birth Giving. And because all the people I gave birth to are at the table.
I was just gonna say that just by name alone, you're we should celebrate your mom. But since all of your children are there, it is birth
And
giving.
actually, I did. I wore a bracelet that was
Aw.
her bracelet. So I brought her with. We talked about her a lot, but it has to do, plus, typically my granddaughter is there as well. She couldn't be there yesterday. But so, it was my daughter's birth giving day as well. So it's just what we do. My point to all of this, though, is that I love to do the word of the year. And I decided to do it earlier. And last year, I used an auto-generated,
Oh, that's
so
right.
potential like it is maybe not AI, but it could be considered that. I didn't use pen and paper and
You
go through
used
all
a
the
digital
steps.
toolkit. Yeah, you
I
don't know
used a
what
digital toolkit.
the algorithm or computer programming is behind it. If
Yes,
everybody, like, we know not everybody that did it got the same word because I did it and got different words until I got one I liked.
that's
And
hilarious because I did it again this year, closer to my birthday, and got once again last year I got a word that I was like, "What? Why are you shading me?" Like, and this year I got a word that just made me burst out laughing. This year my word was frolic, and I am jumping
yes,
in feet first. I don't care if the world, okay, I do care
we
that
do
the
care.
world is blowing up. I care greatly.
We're gonna compartmentalize
Yes.
life
And
and reality
also,
in a
yes, I
podcast.
can
Yeah.
frolic. But the whole point is that I used a digital product to get to a self development goal.
Yeah. And last year, I guess it would have been more the January episode when I shared it, but last year was the first time I had ever finished a vision board. And it
Oh,
worked for me because I used Pinterest to find the photos so I could find exactly what I liked instead of trying to make the things I found in magazines work, or to try and convince myself that the stuff that I clipped from the magazines or that was available was what I wanted and
Mm.
represented what I wanted, right? Like there's always like
Yeah.
that level of convincing where and just too much effort, and digital or physical media is so hard to find anyways if you're not subscribing, right?
Yeah.
And so last year I used Pinterest, and then I saved those photos to my desktop, and then I sent them off to my local photo printer and I printed them, and within 48 hours of printing them they were on a board. And it was really nice because if I, was waiting for an appointment to start last year, or if I was in a long line, or if I went out to eat by myself, I could look for images on Pinterest in those moments, right? Like I didn't have to like sit down and dedicate time in a location and supplies and all that. And so last year was I also really started to use technology to kind of try and advance my personal growth and development processes, and then in such a way that I feel like it allowed me more time to spend on the growth than on the planning and the process of the planning, if that makes sense.
It makes a lot of sense because as human beings, a lot of the time, okay, maybe I can't speak for all of humanity, but I can certainly speak for myself. Sometimes the planning, especially if it's long and involved and pen to paper and cutting and pasting and doing all kinds of things like that, that becomes in my brain the thing that is completed. So the plan
Yes.
itself becomes the actual outcome. And then I don't follow the plan because I'm done with it. I've finished it. So I think if you can free up that space, whether it's mental or just time, to use digital or AI or whatever the case might be to help you, I think it I think it will hit differently for you. And I have always been paper, pen, don't even talk to me. When my son first told me about ChatGPT, I was like, that's cheating. And then he was like, no, mom, it really helps me. It helps me focus on these things. And I still was like, are you sure? Like, and then you also introduced me to ChatGPT, and I was still like, I don't know.
You're so bashful with it. So I am what's known as an early adopter for
You
technology.
are.
And
Yes.
it's not that I'm super savvy, but I am always looking for better ways to do things. I like newness. I like ease. I'm not afraid to try things out. So I'm not like the early adopters. Like I'm not a programmer. I don't have a computer background. And it's the early adapters that are kind of educating or influencing me to jump in. But I started using ChatGPT, and I can't believe it. It's been almost 2 years now. I can't believe it's been around that long. But I too
Wow.
kind of fought it in the beginning, um, for a variety of reasons. But in the past 4 or 5 years, I've been using the Notes app on my phone as like a commonplace notebook. So if I'm reading a book, listening to an audiobook, a podcast, watching something on TikTok, the news, YouTube, or whatever, and I want to jot down a quote, or it gives me an idea, or it inspires a goal, it kind of goes somewhere in these notes. And so when it came to like I treat my birthday like a personal new year, and my birthday is at the end of August, so it's kind of more like that September through August plan year. Um, but so every year on my birthday, like I kind of have like, here are the words of the year I was considering, here are the goals I was considering, here's all these affirmations that I may or may not use for that year, right? Like I brain dump all this stuff into just this page titled like either the year of the birthday, so like this year was 40, or I'm like, okay, this is all still percolating in my brain, this is for the calendar year, right? So like
Hmm.
right now I have one going for 2025. But so I just put absolutely everything related to those goals, or who I want to be, or the threats and opportunities I have into these notes. And then I sit down with pen and paper, or my notes app, I can see it on the desktop of my personal computer too. I love the iMac experience. But then I start to organize it, right? And then I put it into like my bullet journal or my physical vision boards, or like I have a physical pin board where like I write stuff on post-its or postcards or stuff like that to set it up. And so what I did this year for my birthday is I copied each of those notes and I dumped absolutely everything into a single chat GPT prompt. And I said, hey, based on all of this, what do you think I'm trying to achieve? Like, who do you think I
Ah,
am? What are my values? What are the themes that keep coming up? And I took that, as much as I love the analysis, I either get analysis paralysis or I burn out on the analysis, right? And once I
right.
do it, I'm kind of like you said, it's kind of complete, it's a checkbox. And so I was just like, you do the work. What are the trends? What are the themes? What am I missing? What consistently comes up? And it just kind of like spits all this stuff back out at me that was really helpful. And so now and that was at the start of the year or late last year that I started doing that. And so it's gotten to know me because I primarily use Chat GPT for personal growth and goal setting, or I'll be like, hey, here are the characters I really like, summarize the common thing character traits among them, right? Like, what are their shared values, who how do they show up in media or stuff like that, or here are professionals that I like and why I like them. Tell me, who am I trying to be, right? And so since I've been working with it that way for almost 2 years now, but really specifically this year, it knows me, right? Like, or it knows the aspirational me, it knows what I want to do. And so I'm and with a paid account, you have a higher or a greater space for memory. And so it kind of retains information about you as well. And so you can ask it things. Um, you can also ask it like, hey, what are my blind spots? Or what do you think are the uh not self-destructive, it could be, but like what are the loops or patterns I keep falling into that are preventing this? Or if I haven't achieved this yet, why do you think that is? Or how could I? And it's just been um sometimes it gets it wrong because it only knows what you tell it, right? And so you have to correct it and you have to have the self-awareness to correct it. And sometimes it gets it right and you have to hold back from correcting it. And you just have to sit there and sit in the
Okay,
self-awareness
that's
that's granted
hilarious.
you.
And I do want to say, so there is a free version. If you haven't dipped your toes in ChatGPT, there is a free version, which I use the free version right now. And that's what got me to start just playing around with it, was the free version. The other thing that I want to say is that you, Tracy, really taught me that you don't have to take what it gives you at face value, that you can say, you know what, that didn't quite hit. I think you could do a deeper dive on this, or I think you missed the mark on this, and I want it to sound more like XYZ. And then it will come back. Like, it's not, I call it my friend, but it's a friend that in no way will ever be offended by anything you say.
So I will say, uh it's vastly different using it this year and even this month of this year than it was the first time I used it. I used to get into arguments with it all the time because it's not doing what you're telling it to do, or it's just giving you like platitudes and cliches and stereotypes. I love that you call it your friend. My boss, we're not allowed. ChatGPT is blocked on our
Right.
work computers, as it should be.
Yep.
But my boss hears about all these ways in which I'm testing it, using it, trying it, seeing how to use it. And so he started calling it the intern because here's the thing.
Wait, no, we need to just hold that for a
Yeah,
second.
it's the
I
intern.
love it. Okay,
I'm
go.
gonna explain why. So with ChatGPT, um, all of them, all the so ChatGPT is just one version of generative AI. There are many, Meta has some, Apple's developing some, right? Like their Amazon's trying to create their own. Like a lot of tech companies are all creating using their AI. ChatGPT, I believe is it part of Google? Or they own it. I don't know. They have another one that's in Google. But anyways, if you notice, they all these generative AI applications use some version of stars or constellation or sparkles as their iconography and as their logos and things like that. And it's because they want you to think it's magic. Um,
Oh, yeah.
they
Oh,
want you to think it's magic. They
And I think a part of my brain agreed with that, made an
Yeah.
agreement. And
It's
yes.
there's a girl on TikTok, and I haven't blocked her yet because I think it's important to see ways in which people are using new technology poorly or dangerously so that you can better teach yourself and others how to use it. But she is asking it questions and treating it like, I mean, she's not saying this, but like she's asking it all of these big life questions and like where does life come from kind of things and like aliens are real or not and like this and that and this and that. She's treating it like it's some sort of god, right? Some sort of omnipotent, all-knowing, and that it's thinking. Generative AI isn't thinking, it is taking what
Mhm.
already exists in the world and giving it
Mhm.
to you.
Mhm.
But even within that, it's always going to give you information based on how you phrase the question. And so
Mhm.
when working with these tools, you have to be more knowledgeable in what you want than it is. So I use it to offload, like we were just talking, time consuming tasks, brain power consuming tasks, but maybe not necessarily, like, and it's important if it's giving you things that you don't really know about or you're asking it to teach you things, you need to be asking for sources. You need to be following up.
Yeah.
Is what I just read true, right? Like
Mhm.
it's trust but verify, be a filter, not a
Mhm.
sponge. But so the reason why we call it the intern is we're giving it a quandary, we're giving it a query. We're saying, here's the prompt, here's what I need you to do, go do it. And the good little intern is running away and looking all the resources and gathering all the info, doing the analysis, running the reports, and it comes back to you. And you, as the boss of the intern, have been doing this job for 20 years. You have to be able to look at it and be like, try again. like the
Right.
and here, and you can't just say the same prompt again. You have to say, hey, close, but here's what I really wanted, and here's how I want you to
Mhm.
use the information. Here's what was right, here's what was wrong, here's how you can do it better.
Mhm.
um I'm someone who I'm very polite with ChatGPT because I'm worried Skynet is real. It's gonna come back and be like she's one of the bad ones. You
Oh
really don't.
no. 100%. I think I told you I'm always like, could you, will you? And then at the end,
Yes,
I'm always like, thank you.
I have
Whether
apologized.
yeah, I will say thank you if they got it or if they didn't get it. I'm like,
Yes,
thank you. Also, could you please add on? So I am very polite as well. First of all, because I just, why not? Why
yeah.
not be
Why
polite?
not? I'm polite with everything else. I'm polite with my animals,
Exactly.
with
Why would I
people on the
be like
street. Yeah.
rude with this?
Um,
Yeah.
but so in the past, it came back very much. Yeah, it it didn't really have much of a personality. It didn't have much of a tone, right? Like when it's answering or giving you things, it was very much just spitting out information. And most of the time you could tell it's just pulling from the top 5 blog posts, right? Now when it talks to me, it is mirroring and matching my tone, how I phrase
Yes.
things.
Hmm.
It has completely, because although the outlines and the things that we've created and written for Brightly are purely for us, I have given it stuff and been like, hey, summarize this into a description, right? Or hey, does this
Hmm.
say what we think it's saying, right? Like if we talk about this and we want it to be about this, are these the right points? And
Hmm.
so now it is responding to me very much like Amy would to me. And that is both, on the one hand, I prefer that to what I was getting last year, but on the other hand, it's going to give you back what you give it.
It's absolutely just today. It literally, I'm not going to read everything that it said, but the last sentence was, "You're on such a beautiful journey!" Exclamation point. And
Yes,
I
I've
was
gotten
like,
stuff like that before too.
that, yeah, 100%. I'm like, oh, it knows me. And it also doesn't fight me on like magic
Yeah.
stuff,
And it
right?
used to.
It used to fight
It
you.
used, yeah. So when
Yes.
I first started using it and I was asking it things, I wanted to learn more about deities and more about honoring them or people who create rituals around them. And like that mythology and that lore exists in the world for many reasons.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, if somebody was going to do a finance ritual or offering or meditation or something, like what would that look like? And it would be like, hey, here are some practical and logical steps for making money and retaining wealth, and it would be like get a high yield savings account, right? Like, my dude, that is a very biased approach. And so they've gotten better at that because yeah, anything that was mystical, magical, mythological, or anything like that, it would really hesitate to give you anything.
Yeah, it doesn't hesitate anymore, does it?
No, but I will say, so there are a lot of people who use it to read their tarot cards, which I don't recommend. Better understanding a tarot card, maybe if you don't have any other resources.
Yeah, I could
Um,
see that.
right?
Or say, this is what I'm getting from it. What do you think? And not taking their answer to heart, but to look
Yeah.
at their answer and say, oh, is this picking up on a blind spot that I have with, because
Yeah.
it's hard to read your own tarot card sometimes.
Um, so the
I'm
tarot,
so sorry.
no, sorry, astrology is the other one. People have been using it for, and I have too. But I also know enough about astrology to know you're wrong, or you didn't fully read the birth chart I gave you. You just read the first thing because I don't do whole sign houses. So you think I'm a Capricorn rising based on this, but I'm a Sagittarius rising in a later.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah, you're a
And
Sagittarius
there's no way
rising.
I'm a Capricorn rising, excuse you. But so like again, it's like me with the intern going, you didn't read the whole instructions, right? Or you're not fully up for
Exactly.
this. But now I've noticed when I give it astrology things, it says, oh, you're really going to need to consult an astrology technology for that. I wouldn't be surprised if ChatGPT or somebody else launched an app specific to that, which I know
I
there
think
are
it's
other
already done.
apps. Well, there
It's
are a lot
already
of
done.
apps, but yeah, this generative AI way of like having a conversation
Hmm.
versus just your chart, but it's already starting to block some things in some ways I had been seeing people use it. And for some stuff, I mean, I think regulation's good. I'm not anti any regulation. I don't think people, like I said, it's the intern. So
But
with
also, is it blocking it because someone in the background is saying, "Oh, we need to make this a
yeah,
different paid
I
app."
I think it's two things. One, it wasn't made for that, so it's gonna get it wrong, and people aren't gonna know, right? And so it's one of those things where they're like,
A
you're
little
recognizing
information
the
is
weakness
dangerous.
of the
Yeah.
tool, and that you
Yeah.
would need a different tool.
Yeah.
I think it just highlights a greater thing of you really have to assign it a role when you are giving it a prompt. You have to tell it what to act as because I've
Oh, I
also
do.
yeah.
Yes. I will say acting as
Hmm.
a such and such expert and such strategist, so I tell it what it's acting as now. I didn't used to, but now I'm very clear with it.
I have I like to record my own meditations so that I can make them really specific to what I'm working on. But one of the ways I've used ChatGPT is I've said, "Hey, in the style of Esther Hicks, take these goals, these affirmations, this stuff I want my meditation script to be on and write it in her style." Oh, that was powerful. Or even like, hey, I'm trying to manifest XYZ. Can you teach me how to do that in the style of Neville Goddard? And then boom, it's right there.
Wow.
Yeah. And so it's a way too, because like I find Hicks and Abraham's how she delivers the message really captivating and really motivating and it
Yeah.
really kind of wakes something up in me and I like that style. But so much of what I find of hers to listen to is like people asking questions of
That's
her and
all there
her
is.
answering,
Yes.
right?
Yes. Hmm.
And some people have edited to take that out, but also is like, well, it's the style I like. It's not like because in that moment Abraham isn't giving me the message, right? Like, but I like how she phrases things. The positive aspect of it. Why not personalize it to me? And it's done a great job with that. Does it work every time for every person, author, thing you can think of or every way? No. Because it's using the information that's out in the world. But if you know what role to give it, it can, I don't know, it can really help.
Where,
Um,
where do you think it shouldn't be used? Besides what you've already said, like with astrology or tarot, you should do that yourself, or you should go to a person who's
yeah.
actually studied it. Where else do you think it shouldn't be used?
I think again, it's one of those things that you have to be a filter, not a sponge. And so
Mhm.
if you know absolutely nothing on the topic you're asking it to either provide you a service on, write it for you, or teach you about it. Nope. Go find someone in real life who can teach you. Go get a book, go learn more.
Oh
Um,
yeah, and hey kids, no essays
yeah.
or even book reports using Chat GPT.
If you can't
No.
write an essay, or if you don't want to write an essay, you shouldn't be in college. Like, it's a
You can
demonstration of knowledge. Like, just
now what I
find something
will
else to do
say,
with your
right.
time.
What I will say is that it probably could help with like how do I what's a template for this? Like how do I set that up? Like, okay, opening paragraph, you want to make sure that you do this, this, and this. Like that, I think
You
is
could, yeah, I
could
mean,
use it
similar
for
to people.
that.
I just, you're gonna hate this. I don't know if you've seen this. A publishing company of 4 or 5 men
Yes. Yes.
announced that they're starting an a publishing company that is about 8,000 titles of AI generated fiction.
So
That,
I'm going to actually, that's not
oh,
exactly
what
what it
was it?
is. So it's that you can, as a person, say, I've got a manuscript and I'm like, I want to publish it. You give it to them, their AI fixes problems for you and then does the rest for you.
Oh,
So you've
we might
started
be
it.
talking the two different things.
No,
There's
this is
no.
it. It
Okay.
is because I read it and I was actually going to comment to people who were like, ah! I was like, authors are already using AI. Like they're using it
It's
for editing software, things like that.
So it's a dangerous slope because there
It
are,
is a dangerous slope.
yeah,
Yes, I
um
agree with you. And I don't like the premise where they're like, we're publishing 5,000 books this year. It's like, what? No, it's going to be garbage.
yeah. Um yeah, so with anything, trust but verify, be filtered on a sponge. I asked it to give me a list of the top books in critical thinking for children. And I realized my prompt needed to be more specific because the top selling books in that area is very heavily swayed by religious doctrine due to homeschool preference for that text. It doesn't
Oh.
necessarily mean it's the best in that topic,
Hmm.
because what I know of uh, the publishers in that area, they really seem to only pick the critical thinking skills that supports their arguments and not
Right.
true critical thinking.
Which critical thinking does not support. Okay, never
Yeah, but so
mind.
that's one of those things that, again, because I knew that already, I caught it, I fixed my prompt, and I got some amazing responses back.
Yeah, yeah.
And so you can't treat it like magic. It's going to take some effort. But what I will say, okay, so here's the magic in it, how I have used it. So, um friend, so for my birthday this year, since I was 40, I took those two vision board concepts that I did last year. So I did one last year for the year that was very much like a vibe, how I want to feel, how I want to exist, just kind of like concepts, not just like, when I look at this, that's the life I want to look back and say I led. And then I have another one behind me that is like very specific things. There's a dog on there. Did I get the dog in that picture? Nope. Did I get a dog this year? Yeah, I did. So be careful.
Be
But
careful what you wish for you will surely get it.
yeah, I have some pictures of like UFOs and aliens because I had an idea, a sci-fi book idea in that area, and it was supposed to remind and motivate me to write. And instead, I heard about how there are aliens in the ocean that the government's known about all along. So again, sorry guys, it was on me.
A little bit more specificity, maybe.
Yeah, but like there's things, the type of kitchen I want, how I want my new garage to look, stuff like that. It's very tangible, concrete things to remind me what I'm working towards. But for my 40th birthday this year, I created four different ones that again were kind of a vibe, but were more about like the decade and the 40s. And um they turned out really nice, and I put them in my bedroom on my dresser because they all fit up perfectly. I have a really long dresser. And a friend came over and actually said, "Oh, this looks like art." I didn't even think these were vision boards at first. And so then she sat down and she's, "Okay, tell me about this one." And Amy, I had a moment where I was like, "Huh, that one and the one next to it are more like they were feelings. And I don't think I defined the feelings, right? Like they're very similar feelings. I was like, well, this one was meant to be like a main character vibe. And she's like, yeah, I get that. And so like I was able to say very broadly like the concepts because I went and hunted for the pictures and I used the word aesthetic a whole lot when doing it. And then I just kind of grouped everything together by how it made me feel and like, yes, this felt right. And they very much came out like the whole is greater than the sum of its parts and all that. But it wasn't until someone came up and was like, tell me about this one and tell me about this one that I'm like, huh, what now that they are together, what is that feel, right? Like how would I define that vibe and why if I can't easily do it, maybe that's why I'm not living it. And so I took pictures of
Ooh.
each of the boards
Yeah.
and I one at a time I put them into ChatGPT. Well, actually first I just went into ChatGPT and I told it what I wanted to do and I said I created vision boards and grouped and themed the images by how they made me feel. If I were to share pictures with you of the final project, could you help me put into words what the possible themes or imagery conveys? If so, what prompt would be best for this?
Okay,
This
I need to take a second and just give you a little business coaching here. I think you need to create,
Stop giving my free stuff away.
yeah, I think you should create Chat GPT prompts for different things because your language is so helpful.
Oh, thanks.
Anyways, go.
So
Sorry.
I was like, I've learned from other TikTokers and other people who do this stuff. If your prompt isn't working, ask it to write the prompt for you, which is like the most cyclical thinking in
That's
the
so
world,
meta. I
right? But so
just,
like, yeah, if you tell it what you're trying to achieve, you can then ask it, how do I get you to do that? And there's still some refining in that, but the
Mhm.
more you do that, the better you learn how to communicate with it. So that's been life changing for me is when I'm not getting what I want, I'm like, hey, here's what's going on. Here's where we're not getting along.
Yeah,
How should
yeah.
I phrase this?
Can
Um,
Sorry, I interrupted you before. Are you going to share with us what it answered, at least from one of your vision boards?
oh, maybe we only have a few minutes, but so we'll see. But so it gave me the prompt, which I'll share on our social media and whatnot. But so what it ended up doing, it identified the theme. So for the one that was main character vibe, there are 6 pictures on there. And it says themes identified: cosmic connection and expansion, feminine power and radiance, luxury and elegance, mysticism and transformation, individuality and confidence. And I was like, yes, that's what I didn't have the words for. Like, thank you.
I
Um,
love it.
and then it just said descriptive words: cosmic, radiant, ethereal, feminine, empowered, elegant, mystical, transformative, luxurious, bold, celestial, transcendent, glamorous. Again, it nailed describing the board, right? And then it gave me the emotional essence. The board feels like a harmonious balance between grounded luxury and spiritual transcendence. It evokes empowerment through embracing both the earthly and the divine, highlighting confidence, beauty, and cosmic belonging. And then it said, would you like me to expand on any particular aspect or connect these themes to your personal intentions? Um, and I said, and I did have notes on this. I didn't like, I did know how to describe some of my art, but it wasn't feeling flushed out enough. But I said, I was going for expansive growth, wild transformation, divine feminine, main character, luxurious life, personal style, power, freedom, embracing my birthright. And so it's like, yeah, here's how that aligns with the themes. And then I was like, oh, and then I did it for a couple other boards, but then based on that, after it went through each of my boards, I was like, hey, um, describe the future self represented in the board. What's their ideal day look like? What's their routine look like? Who are they hanging out with, right? I was like, what kind of career does this person have? What are their daily habits? What are their emotional landscape? Okay, develop affirmations and rituals, both to get there and what this person would have. And it did it. Like it's been so fun. So that's what I'm gonna do this year for New Year's. Instead of building more and more boards every year, I'm going to deep dive into these things and start meditating and doing, vision exercises and stuff and affirmations based on the boards that I did. But I was like, yeah, what is the person I'm calling in? Um, who am I in this board? Sorry, I'm scrolling through. I had like I said, I've somehow ended up with 6 vision boards this year. Oh, I did say, based on what you know about me. So again, because I've been using ChatGPT for this purpose, so it does know more about me. You could ask it what question, what ask me things in order to be able to answer this for me, right? Like you could go, like I've had it
Yeah.
do the New York Times has those 36 questions to fall in love. And in the past, when I've read those questions, because you're supposed to go through them with a partner, and by the time you go through all 36 questions, you could be partnered with a stranger and you'd fall in love with each other, is kind of like the concept behind it, or develop love
Interesting.
for each other, right? But some of the questions are, it's the type of thinking of like, I don't think like that. I don't care about, if I could have dinner with anybody living or dead, right? Like, I don't know, right? So I had it go through the questions with me during my leave when I was like laid up in
Yeah.
in bed for a couple weeks. I was like, hey, let's do this, but don't give them all at once. Let's go back and forth, and you help me reflect on these and refine my answer and better understand myself. And hey, here's how we can do like a self-love thing. And so yeah, if you haven't been using it and you want it to help you get to know you, be like, hey, act as my personal development coach. What do like, and have it ask you the questions to get to know you. But I was like, hey, um, based on what you know about me, what's missing? What gaps do I have in my vision boards? What isn't addressed? And we did come up with
Ooh.
one based on
Yeah.
based on some of the goals and stuff I have. And then I was like kind of tapped out on search terms, like what imagery is that? And it gave me imagery to search for and to look
Oh.
for. Um yeah, I think, yeah, some of the biggest stuff for it though that was really helpful. I have an abundance of affirmations I've written, other people have written, right? Like that all these people on Instagram that I've seen, I have a collection of them, and it's just that analysis paralysis, and to be able to be like, here's my board, give me affirmations to help me stay in that space, right? Yeah, because I asked, oh, okay, so like based on the vision boards I shared, if I were to manifest all of those things and the life they represent, describe that woman. What are her values? What is her mission? What is her vision for life? What are her goals? What does her day look like? Would she spend her time? How would you describe her personal style? Right? Like I outsourced all of this. Because I don't want to spend my time becoming her. I want to already be her and I want to live that life, right? So like in terms of, as we talked about at the start of the show, are we cheating? Yeah, who cares? We're gonna live.
What is cheating? I
I still
mean,
have to do
is
the work to be her.
yeah, is hiring a physical trainer cheating? Is hiring a life coach cheating? Is hiring a therapist cheating? Like, let's be realistic here. So I don't think it's cheating.
And this
Final answer.
um I've I've done a lot of therapy in life. I've read a lot of personal development books, and
Mhm.
sometimes I know my block is the how. That sometimes for me, knowledge isn't power. I'm just stuck then sitting there waiting with the knowledge that I know all this, but somehow I'm not doing it because I don't know what the steps are to do,
Right.
or what I'm doing hasn't given me results. And I don't know what's next. And when I go and I talk to professionals, they're like, wow, you're so self aware, or wow, you've really done the work. And I'm like, and what's next?
Right.
Like,
Right.
and so,
Self-awareness does crapola for me. Yeah.
yeah. So I don't know. This has been huge. There's a lot of like things to keep in mind. If you have sustainability goals or if it's high in your values, it does use a lot of energy. It does use a lot of water. So keep that in mind, or don't use it for frivolously, and be safe and data aware. It is going to use and learn and train and retain what you give it.
Yeah.
Um, and then like I've said, learn how to talk to it. And there's a lot of books. I just got Digital Dharma by Deepak Chopra from the library. It might be a future book club book. I'm not going to get into it today. But hopefully, I don't know. If we gave you too much information, go ask ChatGPT about it.
Do all the things. We're glad you were here today.
And with that, we hope you have a bright and beautiful day.